For many Americans, being cooped up for a year is making them go crazy. So it's natural to want to escape, and some are doing that. But public health experts say long-distance travel is still risky. Ash-har Quraishi takes a look at when you might be able to fly again without worry.
At the beginning of the outbreak, air travel nearly came to a standstill. But major holidays like spring break and Thanksgiving saw spikes in travel and increased COVID spread.
I absolutely think that travel is safer now than it was before. If you're vaccinated, travel is definitely safer for you, but it may not be safer for those around you.
But with millions already fully vaccinated and positivity rates generally on the decline, some may be planning a much-needed getaway.
Air travel, car travel, whatever, whenever you are outside of your normal routines, outside of the usual ways that you protect yourself from getting sick, there's risk.
But people are traveling. According to TSA, it screened nearly 1.3 million people at airports on Sunday. And in the last week, nearly 7.5 million people have flown.
If you've been vaccinated and now you feel like I've been vaccinated, I want to go travel. First of all, I completely agree with you. I feel the same way, but it's still not really appropriate to do that unless it's essential travel.
While the CDC has provided guidance for essential travel, it still warns that travel increases your chance of getting and spreading COVID-19. CDC recommends that you do not travel at this time. Still, if you do travel, infectious disease experts advise taking specific precautions.
So I still recommend that anybody who's traveling on an airplane needs to wear a very well-fitting mask and eye protection, including one of those face shields that goes over your mask, or maybe even some sort of like safety glasses, or even regular glasses can help protect you.
There is anticipation of a major increase in domestic travel this summer as vaccine distribution expands and restrictions are eased. But it could be years before we see travel return to pre-pandemic normal.
Yeah, it's hard to know. I mean, if we continue our current rate of vaccination, we could ostensibly, it's possible to reach those levels later in the year.
But for travelers who are hoping for the coronavirus risk to hit zero before they board, it'll be a long wait.
While all of these strategies, vaccinations, all the other public health measures are designed to bring the risk down as low as possible, it's not going to be zero.
I'm Ash-har Quraishi reporting.
There's still much more to come in our next half hour. Coming up next, the Bakersfield City School District is finalizing plans to start getting students back in the classroom. What precautions the Teachers Association says they won't put in place before that happens.
Live from downtown Bakersfield, 23 ABC News starts now.
School districts here in Kern County are set to receive funds from the state. How the money will help students whose grades have slipped.
And after 7 hours of bargaining, we'll tell you the details a local teachers union and school districts still need to iron out.
Good morning and thanks for joining us here at 23 ABC News at 6:30 on air and online. I'm Callum Halbman in for Mike Hart.
Yeah, we decided to give him a day off.
He gets to sleep in.
Yes, I feel like it's well deserved.
Yeah, he works so hard.
Yes.
And he loves to work outside too, so I bet you he's going to spend the day outside enjoying the big puffy clouds passing by, the great air quality, but then he's going to sneeze and blame me for the allergies. So I technically ruined his day off. You're welcome, Mike. But if you're going to be outside with Mike today, you're going to see that we have those clearing skies over the valley, just some big puffy clouds, the last of those showers in the mountains, tapering off very slowly as the day goes on. So keep your umbrellas and jackets with you all day. And into the desert, I was joking earlier that it's kind of like my brother. This storm is going to come around and slap you one last time before it runs out the door. It's not done with us just yet, but most of the action is down into the desert now for the day ahead. We're at 44 right now. As you're grabbing your sweaters, you're heading out the door. We're going to be up a little bit from yesterday, but still it's a cool average, below average day out there. You're seeing a little bit of that slushy mix near Isabella, a little bit of light snow. This is all moving south, so that's what I mean when I say showers. You're going to get a little bit of snow, not much accumulation, and then it's going to pass by. Fraser Park is one of the first areas to dry out as we push everything further south. But again, it's all wrapping behind this storm, which then as it continues marching forward for the weekend is creating some huge problems for the heart of the country. So So you're going to hear a lot of headlines about that for the next couple days. But here at home, our headlines are good air quality and clearing skies, particularly here on the valley floor. You're seeing those 40s for the next couple hours. The clouds breaking apart with some more sunshine and that high of 60 this afternoon. Heading into Isabella, you're going to have just some of those light rain showers like I mentioned with 40s and a brief high of 50. It's cold, but it's not snow for you at lake level. Tehachapi, Fraser Park, you're seeing just a little bit of that snow this morning, a little bit of rain this afternoon. Not much accumulation, if any, out of these as these last of the showers taper off into our mountain communities. But into the desert, it's still a pretty wet day, so we're going to stay in the 40s there with some areas of possibly moderate to heavy rain. I'll show you the futurecast coming up. But first, here's Eric to show you traffic. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. And we still have that semi-truck that is still blocking lanes on Fraser Mountain Park Road at Mount Pinos Way. Hopefully it should be clear here any moment now, which would be good to allow traffic to keep flowing through. Other than that, we have no major incidents or traffic hazards to report, so your morning commute remains good. And in case you are headed out of the area, all your major roadways are open. So just always remember to wear your seatbelt, keep your eyes on the roadway. And if you do come across wet roadways, please slow down to arrive safe at your destination. And that's my look at traffic. Let's go back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Eric. As students across the country begin to make their safe return to the classroom, 23 ABC is going in depth this morning, taking a look at the local situation. In just a few hours, representatives from the Bakersfield Elementary Teachers Association and the Bakersfield City School District will be back at the bargaining table as they look to get students back into the classroom in the BCSD. Steve Comstock Jr., who is the president of the Bakersfield Elementary Teachers Association, says he's hopeful that a deal can be finalized today. Comstock says the district has been receptive to the Teachers Association's requests.
The teachers have been working incredibly hard through this. The classified staff is working super hard. It's been probably the most difficult year any of us can remember. And yes, we want to get back, but we want to and we deserve to get back safely.
If a deal is reached today, students could be back in the classroom in phases as soon as April. 23 ABC's Kristen Barton joins us live from the Bakersfield City School District with a breakdown of what teachers say they're asking for before that process begins. Kristen.
Brenna, we've all heard the narrative of teachers' unions clashing with districts, but the Bakersfield Elementary Teachers Association president assures me that's not the case with them. They all want to get back to school, but safely. There's just a memorandum of understanding they need to reach before they do so.
It's not just for the teacher safety or even the staff safety, but our students live in the most vulnerable zip codes and the hardest hit zip codes in Kern County. And there's not a single one of the employees that wants to be responsible for bringing in a virus that a child, basically, while they may not be as susceptible to it, they can still be carriers, and their families have been very hard hit.
Bakersfield Elementary Teachers Association President Steve Comstock Jr. says that Beta wants to make sure all teachers who want to get vaccinated before returning to in-person learning have that opportunity. About 80% of their members surveyed want to get the vaccine.
Just asking for as much safety as possible, and the district has been very willing to work with us on that. We're very appreciative of that.
Comstock says shortly after BCSD tentatively pushed in-person instruction dates from mid-March to early April, Governor Newsom allocated 10% of vaccine doses to teachers and put forth new legislature for students returning in person. Plus, he says the district secured a deal with a couple of local healthcare facilities to get teachers and staff vaccinated at district sites rather than at mass vaccination ones.
We know that the other interventions work. We know that masking works. We know that distancing works. You know that vaccination is a layer upon all of the layers we've put up to protect ourselves from the transmission of COVID. And so we can get students back into school with those non-pharmaceutical interventions.
The CDC has voiced this too, but Comstock says they had those interventions back in October when Kern County entered the red tier, and they ultimately had to shut down again.
And the yo-yo effect of opening and closing is even more difficult than continuing to stay in distance learning until we can get to a point where we can open up and stay open.
Some of the other working conditions Beta is hopeful to finalize at tomorrow's meeting: how often classrooms, bathrooms, and common areas are cleaned, having plexiglass in certain areas, ventilation systems, accommodations for teachers with underlying health conditions, and he says basically any safety guidelines that the CDC, California Department of Public Health, and Cal OSHA have laid out. We'll, of course, monitor developments from the meeting today at 9 a.m. and keep you updated on when students can return to in-person classes. At the Bakersfield City School District, Kristen Varton, 23 ABC News, connecting you.
Other school districts have already begun returning students to in-person learning. In the Panama Buena Vista Union School District, students that are in transitional kindergarten, and junior high students who are homeless or in foster care returned at the beginning of March. Students in 1st through 3rd grade also returned to the classroom, and 4th through 6th grade students are currently set to return to school next Thursday. Panama Buena Vista has detailed some of the safety protocols in place for students and staff.
Classrooms will be set up to maximize space between seating and desks. Student desks will be at least 6 feet away from the teacher's desk and other staff desks. We will distance student chairs at least 6 feet away from each other.
The video also goes over precautions taken while on the bus, as well as the arrival to school. That full video was sent out to parents, but it's also available on the district's website. The district has also set up vaccination clinics for their staff. Rosedale also held a clinic vaccinating 250 staff members. Each person got 1 shot at the end of February, and next month they'll be completely vaccinated. Rosedale Union School District has also returned students to the classroom. 7th and 8th grade students went back to school on March 8th.
2 Kern County school districts will get a cash injection from the state to help address learning loss associated with online schooling. Now, the Kern High School District will receive $20,000 in grants. It will go towards support for students who are struggling to make the grade. The Tehachapi Union School District will receive more than $21,000, and that's to help high school seniors who are at risk of not graduating. A recent report by the Kern County Superintendent of Schools office found that students' grades have slipped. The grades at KHSD last fall were compared to the fall of 2019, and according to the report, there was a 14% rise in D's and F's. Now, School Board President Jeff Flores says the district is working on a plan to meet each student's learning needs.
We will come up with a customized plan for your student to allow them to retake that course virtually in the evenings, on the weekends, whatever it takes. And if they demonstrate mastery of the subject, we will give them the new grade for that course.
Flores also says parents and students can reach out directly to their schools. There's no information on the increase in failing grades in the Tehachapi Union School District.
And remember, you can always find more of our in-depth education coverage on our website, turn223.com. There you can find the latest on dates for a return to in-person learning for local school districts. You can also find the local study breaking down grades over the last year for the county's biggest school districts. Parents and teachers can find resources to help our safe return to in-person learning. This morning, the Bakersfield Police Department is investigating after a man died in a rollover collision. According to BPD, officers responded to the 6000 block of District Boulevard just before 9:30 last night. When they arrived, they found a car that had flipped over. The driver crawled out of his car and was injured. He was taken to Kern Medical, where he died. BPD says speed appears to be a factor in the incident, and they're still waiting on a toxicology report. Anyone with information is asked to call BPD at 327-7111. Bakersfield police are on the lookout for the second suspect wanted for their connection to the death of a man at the Tacos La Villa on Union Avenue. The shooting took place just after 10 Thursday night. Officers arrived to the scene and found a man who was suffering from major injuries and later died on the scene. Officers saw a suspect running and eventually took him into custody. He was identified as 19-year-old Manuel Madrid. No information about the second suspect is currently available.
Coming up on 23 ABC News, what are your plans for St. Paddy's Day? Well, if you need some ideas for a safe holiday gathering, we've got you covered right after the break. Stay with us.
St. Patrick's Day is next week, so in this Foodie Friday, I visited Temblor Brewing to see what they're cooking up just in time for the holiday.
Happy Friday, everybody. You know what that means. It is time for Foodie Friday, but St. Patrick's Day is just around the corner. So today we're here at Temblor Brewing with their kitchen manager, Cameron. They have a special St. Patrick's Day meal in store for us. What are we making today, Cameron?
We're making a corned beef and braised cabbage sandwich on rye bread. We use rye bread. We toast two pieces of it. We have brewer's mustard while it's still on the griddle. We have white cheddar while it's still on the griddle so it can start melting. Put the cabbage and the corned beef directly on the grill to start coming to temperature, get hot, and as soon as everything's at temperature, you compile the sandwich and allow it to keep toasting and the cheese keep melting until the cheese is melted and then it's complete.
All right, well, thank you so much, Cameron, and the rest of your team here at Temblor Brewing for showing us this. This St. Patrick's Day themed sandwich is available starting today. Happy Friday and happy almost St. Patrick's Day.
Temblor Brewing Company is located at 3200 Buck Owens Boulevard, Suite 200, and they're open today from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Well, let's bring back in Chief Meteorologist Elena Russ for another check of our forecast. That's a pretty picture. That's like a winter wonderland over there.
Oh, it is a winter wonderland. This picture coming